Welcome to the Modernize or Die Podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community.
Hello and welcome to the Modernize or Die Podcast, CFML News Edition. It is February 28th, 2023. This is episode 186. I am Eric Peterson, and I'm joined today by Mr. Dan Card. How you doing, Dan?
How's it going? Doing well. How you doing?
I am doing very well. Can't believe we're already through February. 2 months down.
I know, seriously. It just seems like this whole year. I said that's such a cliche, isn't it? Oh, this year is flying, but seriously, I don't quite understand what happened to it.
And we creep ever closer to Into the Box.
Yes.
That's like my
that
next
fixed
marker.
point in time we
Yes.
all are just narrowing in on, basically.
All roads lead to Into the
Big
Box.
Bang, the volcano at Pompeii, and Into the Box number 10 is what it is. Those are fixed points in time.
There you go. I do get the reference, by the way. So
Nice.
Thank you to our sponsor, Order Solutions, the makers of all your favorite box products. You can say thank you and give back to Order Solutions by liking and subscribing these videos on YouTube, starring and forking our repos over on GitHub, subscribing to this podcast in your podcast app of choice, and also please leave us a review. You can sign up for a free or paid account on CFCasts, which is releasing new content every week. Buy some awesome merch in our Box Life store on the Order Solutions website, or any of our great books like 102 Cold Box Quick Tips or Tricks, or Learn Modern Cold Fusion in 100 minutes.
There you go. Cool. Yeah, that's handy. Basically, it's available for free online, but you can also buy a paper copy of it, which is nice. Another way that you can actually support us is become a Patreon. So we have basically a word of the week when it comes to our Patreons, and this week's word is mirthful. Mirthful means full of glee and happiness, much like Eric and myself. We have 42 Patreons that are providing 100% of the support for the funding for our Modernize or Die podcast via the Patreon site at patreon.com/ordersolutions. And our second goal is we also are 37% of the way to fully funding the hosting of ForgeBox. So not only do Patreon support this podcast, but really kind of undermine, good grief. They underwrite all of the work that Ordis is doing for the community. And so it's the community getting back to itself. So thank you to all of them. And we'll do a list of everyone, or most people near at the end. We're getting too long to actually list everybody, but we'll talk more about them at the end of the show.
Well, let's jump into some news and announcements. A lot of, in case you missed it this week. So first, we're going to talk about the authentication bypass vulnerability in Mira and Masa CMS. Please, if you use any of these and you haven't patched, check out the show notes. We have the information on the patch. The technical details of the vulnerability will be released on March 6th. So you're just a few days away, if you haven't patched, from everybody knowing how to get past your authentication. That would not be good.
There you go. Also coming up, I'm not coming up, but in case you missed it, the State of the CF Union 2023 was released. Help us figure out the state of the CF Union, what versions of CFML engine people are using, frameworks, tools, all kinds of things. This actually is really helpful for people that for tool developers, as well as just kind of benchmarking where you are with other people that are using Cold Fusion. Not so much like you're using the latest and greatest, but if you're 15 versions behind and everybody else is using, a version that's way ahead of yours, you might want to think about upgrading. So it isn't just for the tool providers, but pretty much for everybody. I've also noticed that my video is frozen, so I'm going to stay as absolutely still as I possibly can and see if I can, leverage this in like a world record or something like that, but not tell anybody that I'm frozen. Maybe that's too late. Never mind. Go on. Sorry.
Well, at least it's not an embarrassing freeze frame of you. So
true.
Hopefully that comes
Gavin
back
uses
here.
one as part of his presentations where he's like, and here's Dan, my co-host. And I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't look very good. Continue on.
I think one of my favorite things on the CF Union survey is always seeing how far back people are still running versions of Cold Fusion, because it can be interestingly old. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
All right. Also, in case you missed it, the Cold Fusion Summit East is coming up in Washington, D.C., and Orta Solutions will be there with our very own Luis Mahano giving an MVC training workshop, Cold Fusion MVC for Dummies. So hopefully being called a dummy is okay for you and you can come learn. So this workshop will combine a variety of theories, hands-on coding, and best practices to give you all the tools needed to leave the workshop ready to build MVC-powered apps when you return to your office. That is the day 2 days before, 1 day before the conference, April 4th, whichever one that is. I believe it goes April 4th with Luis. April 5th, you can come become a Cold Fusion certified professional. And then April 6th is the 1 day Cold Fusion Summit East.
Basically, it's 3 days of Cold Fusion. You can level up on so many levels. If you wear U2 clothing or a Martin Luther King Jr. Clothing, you will receive a kudos for being culturally aware of what April 4th actually was.
All right, let's talk about some new releases and updates. Lucy 6 has released their first beta. And, well, a reminder that beta does not mean production ready.
Mhm.
And as you do test your apps, Lucy is asking you to not file new tickets, but reach out on the Lucy Discord or on the CFML Slack, and they will help you triage the problems. They have lots of open tickets they're still working through, and that will help them keep down on all the duplicates and the work to manage that board. But yeah,
Cool.
they'll be posting more detailed release notes soon, but you can check out the changelog for new functions and tags. It's will be linked inside the Discord post that we have. And this is exciting. We've been waiting for a while to see what Lucy has cooked up for version 6, and I'm excited to see all the progress they've made.
Yeah, no, it's always good to see kind of what's going on with new releases and stuff. Excuse me, sorry about that. Also coming up. Okay, so we have webinars, meetups, and workshops. So this, in case you haven't realized or I've noticed this, but Ortus has been really trying to kind of ramp up our Fridays. So on different weeks, we have everything from the Ortus office hours to some Patreon supported best practices. We have our monthly webinar. So the event calendar for that, we're going to post it up here in the show notes. Now, normally this would be March 3rd would be a office hours. Basically, it's a number of people from it's ranged all over the place from Daniel Garcia, Michael Bourne has been in there, Grant's been in there. Basically, we kind of show up for office hours, and whoever wants to show up and ask questions, we just kind of talk through issues, whatever. I say we because I usually show up and I learn a bunch. It's great. However, this week we are not having office hours. We have a developer retreat down in Houston for the Ortus devs, and so we will not be available for it. So that will be not happening this week, but we'll be back up on schedule for next month for the office hours. And next week we have something else, although I forget what it is now. But stay tuned. We'll tell you about it next week.
So, although we're sad that we won't be there for office hours, you can all get excited that your favorite box products will be getting lots of new ideas and improvements coming over this retreat weekend.
Absolutely.
Let's go over the CFCasts updates for this week. We have 3 new videos in the Mastering Command Box 5 series. They keep on coming. Brad has given us lots of great things to learn about here. This week, you can learn about the table printer command, the SQL command, and then HTTPS redirects. And I always forget what HSTS stands for. Somebody smarter. HTTP Strict Transport Security. I believe that's the thing that forces SSL. And
what is it?
Sorry?
Oh no, just say what it stands for again.
It stands for HTTP Strict Transport Security.
Ah, gotcha. Oh, that's okay. Yes, I think that is the thing that actually triggers that it has to be HTTPS.
I feel like that's a tricky acronym
what I was looking up with.
The first letter of the acronym is an acronym.
Yes,
I think that's tricky.
It is like it's very. I don't know. Not so much like how there's like there's the derivative of the derivative, whatever. That's like an acronym derivative acronym right there. I think.
Right, a little different than the Linux favorites where they have the is it a recursive or a self-referential? Like
Yes.
GNU is not Unix, is the the acronym for GNU. And,
Oh, gotcha. Yes. Oh, so that's one of the, yeah, exactly. So in order to reference itself, it had to exist before it could be, that seems like a tautological problem. Anyway, never mind. Okay.
We engineers like those things. We think they're funny. It's our sense of humor.
I like it.
So
Yeah, there you go.
there are more Command Box videos coming, and other great series are in the works for CFCasts. So keep staying tuned for that.
Cool. All right. So we are flying through today too. All right. So there's Brian. Yeah, Brian. All right. Conferences and training. We got a bunch of things coming up. First of all, GitHub Galaxy, which I still think is one of the best names of a conference. That just seems to ring. Those, in fact that it's alliterative is even better.
I feel like they
GitHub
might
Galaxy.
have seen Ordis Galaxy and decided that's cool. We should do it.
You know, that's true. It is alliterative, but it is a little bit. Yeah, it's derivative alliterative is what it is. Nice. It's very cool. You gotta love a rhyming reference to an alliterative knockoff. Anyway, never mind. Okay, sorry. Wow, I'm in my own little world today. All right, coming up on March 28th, 2023 is the GitHub Galaxy. Save the date for the global enterprise event focused on improving efficiency, security, and developer productivity. Now, this is the formerly known as GitHub in Focus. It says it's a new and imagined conference. There's also it's in person, and there's a VIP summit near you. So does that mean that they're actually having like satellite locations?
I believe that is what that means.
Cool. Okay. Nice. All right. So you can find out more at galaxy.github.com.
I am still curious. I want to see like sessions and things. If this is more technically focused or more business focused, because they've mentioned it's, it used to be their enterprise event. So I don't know. I'm just curious. So we'll see. No sessions posted yet,
That's a
but
great question.
We'll see as it comes up. Next up, DevNexus, April 4th through 6th in Atlanta, Georgia, one of our favorite Java conferences. You can often find some CFML or maybe even former CFML people hanging out there. That is, again, April 4th through 6th in Atlanta, Georgia. And if you're not interested in going to DevNexus at the same time, you could go to Washington, D.C. for CF Summit East.
True. They're not that far apart. You could go to the first 2 days of DevNexus and then zip up to DC.
Except that for CF Summit East, you got the Ordist on the 4th, and you have the Certified Professional on the 5th, so it's kind of the same days.
It is the same days. All right. Well, all right.
True. We tried.
We tried. All right. However, you can make it to Vue.js Live. So Vue.js Live is located in London, May 12th, and it says May 12th and 15th. It's online and in London. It says code, create, and communicate. 35 speakers, 10 workshops, and it says over 10,000 people joining online globally. Hey, sounds pretty cool. But once you get into online, there's really not much no interaction. Hey, it could be 10 or 10,000. You don't really know. But either way, it's pretty good claim. 300 people will, the luckiest people will meet in London, they say. So check out vuejslive.com and you can find out more about it. It seems to be a very Europe-focused summer, I think, when it comes to conferences. This is nice.
We had mentioned before, of course, that all roads lead to Into the Box right now for us. And we have a beautiful new website to show off for the 10th anniversary of Into the Box. You can head to intothebox.org now to check it out. The Ordis design and development teams have done some great work on this. They're in the process of putting up all the information for our workshops. You should see the first of those today, I believe. And others added within the coming week. So great stuff going on. We are reaching out to speakers right now and getting session information to provide that to you as well. So from intothebox.org, you are able to purchase tickets right now if you click that lovely register link, and we cannot wait to see you at our 10th anniversary Into the Box.
Very true. Now you bring up a really good point. We've reached out to a lot of the speakers, but I believe there's a couple we still have not reached out to. So if you have not heard back from us, don't lose hope, but don't make alternate plans just yet. All right, more Vue. VueConference.us in New Orleans on May 24th through the 26th. It says Jazz, Code, and Vue. The workshop day is on the 24th of May. The main conference is the 25th and 26th, and that's located at VueConference.us, or VueConf.us, I should say. We'll put it in the chat notes here.
All right, and CF Camp is back June 22nd and 23rd at the Marriott Hotel Munich Airport in Freising. The call for speakers is open through March 15th at papercall.io/CFCamp 2023. This is a great conference. We've been waiting for this to come back since 2019 with all the craziness with COVID-19. We're glad that they're able to open that back up and can't wait to see who can make it there.
Yeah, that should be good. Are you putting in to speak?
Not this year, unfortunately. It's not in the cards to come this year, but hopefully soon.
Well, in that case, I'm going to hijack your topic. You put it in, you get accepted, and I'll go in your place. How's that? I like this way. This may shape up fun. All right. I didn't get much sleep last night, folks. I apologize. All right. If you need more conferences, this site has a huge list of conferences for almost any language or community. It's confs.tech. Check it out for more information about what's happening in the tech world. You can also look at github.com. That's Scrally, and then developers conferences agenda. We'll put that into into the show notes. All right.
And let's jump into the blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. It's going to be pretty light this week. We have a couple more entries into the continuing Hotwire and Turbo experiments from Ben Nadal. If you're interested, we know you are all interesting. This includes
degrees, but I agree.
including inline turbo stream actions in Hotwire and creating custom turbo stream actions in Hotwire. From what I can tell, this is like a custom HTML tag you can add in that when it appears on the page can interact and alter the DOM. So go ahead and check those out if you're interested in these kind of merging back end and front end code together using Hotwire.
And that's the server-side rendering technology we've been talking about. Basically, it renders all the HTML server side, comes back up. Livewire Hotwire takes care of the diffing. Is that basically it?
That's a good way to think about it. So instead of consuming an API and creating HTML, it sends back HTML, and the JavaScript is in charge of putting it in the right spot and doing all the mutations. Gotcha. So, yep.
Cool. Okay. This is a very educational podcast. Also coming up, not coming up, another blog post from Ben that I really liked. This was more of a communication style. He's talking about how async communication is fantastic, except for when it's awful, which I think makes a lot of sense. I think the whole point of the blog post that I really like is the idea that we all like async because we can leave things for people, they can get back to it when they can. But there are situations where async is not necessarily the best. He goes basically two situations where we need to be careful about using it. One, well, before I get that, because the whole point behind it is the idea of blocking or non-blocking. Async communication, you can leave someone for something, and it's basically non-blocking. They can get to it when they get to it. They don't have to work on it right now, like a real-time meeting would be. Because, but don't forget, there are times when that blocking aspect or that asynchronous is important to have it synchronous. For example, building consensus. You know, how many times have we actually tried to build a consensus over an async thing, and all of a sudden what would have taken 3 minutes in Zoom takes like 4 weeks because we're trying to get everybody on board, everybody to buy in and everything else. And, you know, especially with time zones and everything else, you can have a three sentence conversation over the course of 4 days. So it brings that in as a really interesting concept that I thought was kind of cool. That the async is basically, it's a tool, not a silver bullet. But that idea of blocking and non-blocking, I think the more I think about it, the more it has applications in a lot of different areas, including how we actually spend our time relaxing And that's a whole different thing that I'll go into later. And that blocking and unblocking, the more I think about it, it's actually a really kind of a powerful thing. Which is the whole tangent I don't need to go into. The idea basically is that rest, we can do things that are supposed to be a break that are not a break, that we think they are. We're just kind of wasting time. That was a thought safari that really did not have a very well articulated point, which you probably shouldn't do in a live podcast. So I'm going to be quiet and let you go on with what Brad talked about with the ForgeBox version debug. Sorry, Eric.
Oh, I thought you did just fine.
Oh, thanks.
So this version debug command, I think is really neat, but maybe not for the reason Brad made it. So this will let you pass in the semantic version range, which is usually what we're doing when we type, box install something, some package. It will tell you where it's installing from, what slug it's looking, and what version. Print out every version it has. It will bold the ones that could match, and then highlight the one it's going to take. And that's what I really like about this, is it's teaching how semantic versioning works, which can be confusing at times. There's quite a lot of rules to it. So here I'm showing the cold box. If you said you wanted cold box 6.x, it will show you all of the 6 versions that or 6.x versions that would apply. And it says, because there's multiple, I'm going to take the latest. And that's where we get 681. So next time you're trying to install semantic version range and you're wondering, what does that caret do? What does that mean? What does star mean? Why is it different when there's a 0 at the front? You can debug it with this ForgeBox version command.
Cool. Yeah, I'm never quite sure what the caret or anything else, because I always just want to say, can you give me the latest version of this most of the time? But other times you just want to freeze it. So that doesn't actually go up to the next version if it's going to break.
So caret means anything minor and patch can change. So this last 2 numbers, but the major version will not change. It's similar to saying like 6.x is the same as saying caret 6.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, but that's something that you'll be able to see yourself with this new ForgeBox version debug command. So
go check it out.
Coming to a command box near you soon.
It will be. Cool. All right, so moving on to CFML jobs. There are several positions available at getcfmljobs.com, listing over 52 Cold Fusion positions from 32 companies across 25 locations in 5 countries. And that was a lot of numbers in one sentence, but you get the idea. So we got one new listing this week. It's a senior application developer with Cold Fusion and Lucy. It's at a company called CFCasts in London in the UK. And we will post that job up here. And see if we have any details for it coming in.
And if you're interested in any other jobs, remember there are jobs channels in the CFML Slack team and in the Box team Slack team as well.
Cool. Yep. The job at CFCasts is a B2B provider of e-learning and staff compliance management software. They're looking for someone that has experience with MS SQL, Cold Fusion, Lucy, JavaScript. It'd be useful if you had experience with React, Redux, Next.js, Material UI, Node.js, as well as the Azure platform. And experience actually with Playwright for testing would probably be good too.
Woohoo!
Good benefits, 2 days in the office and 3 days working at home. So,
man, hearing somebody ask for Redux makes me trying to remember how long ago that was, because it feels like forever ago. But I know it wasn't.
It really
and
wasn't.
That's just how JavaScript works.
No, it's true. Thing is, it's funny. I like React Redux. I just like how it works. I think it's a really elegant way. But I have not jumped into Vue yet. I know that that's the Ortus framework of choice, especially right now and stuff. But I haven't jumped on and made that transition yet.
2015 was the first Redux, so I guess 8 years is pretty old. In
Redux, it went
JavaScript framework terms.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it got upgraded since then, but yes, the first one.
Oh yes, the first release. It's been continuously updated. So
yeah.
And as for Vue being the poster child, I agree with that. Or for Ortus, I agree with that until Vue 3. I'm still a little bit lost whenever I go to a Vue 3 project.
Oh really? Okay.
Well, it was a lot simpler in Vue 2. There, I said it.
It's okay. I won't tell anybody. I promise. It's all
It's
good.
okay. I just
I'm
told the whole
still,
internet.
yeah. I'm not quite sure exactly what I want to jump into because I guess right now I'm a little bit at a crossroads. I still like React and I use it in other projects and stuff, but there's a couple things I need to. But there's a couple things I need to do. For some ForgeBox modules that I want to put a more reactive and single page application front end on it. And I don't know whether to go CD wire or to go Vue or whatever, because I think right now they're all viable
Yeah.
ideas. And so I've kind of opted for nothing at the moment, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. Well, Dan, how about you tell us about our ForgeBox module of the week?
ForgeBox module of the week is Logstash. So Logstash is a logbox appender, which basically means that you can, I don't know what Logbox is. It's the logging solution that's built into CodeBox, but you can use it standalone in your own apps. And instead of just doing a system output or a write, or a write dump onto the screen, the idea is that you use Logbox. You can actually say where you want your logging to go. Well, that could be an email, it could be to the system, it could be whatever, but Logstash is one where it takes the logging messages that you have, and it could be whatever you want, error messages, logging, and it dumps them into Elasticsearch, all right? And the idea there is you can actually then search, analyze it on any kind of ways that you want to look at it. It can be installed in, there's a client-only mode. Where are we looking? Anyway, the idea basically is that it plugs in a Logbox and it moves everything over to Elasticsearch. The idea that you can do much more analysis and views and everything on it. It's handy. We actually use it in a lot of ways. We're looking to use it at another client right now to kind of make their log a little bit more robust. So it's one of the reasons it's on here.
I think that sets us up very well for a revisit next week of Stashbox, which is a great Mortis module, a front end to Logstash for viewing all your logs. So stay tuned for that makes sense.
Logstash is the logging, and then Stashbox will be the viewing. So nice little alley-oop there for next week. Sweet.
All right, on to the VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week, which is only a VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week as far as you can use a terminal inside VS Code, because this will work in anything. We're talking about MakeCert this week, which is how I believe you pronounce it, but it's spelled MKCERT. So this is a simple tool available on Mac. I should say a self-proclaimed simple tool on Mac, Windows, and Linux for making locally trusted development certificates without any configuration. You can start by installing a local certificate authority into your own system trust store, and then generating certificates and key files that you can then use when starting your server. So I had an example here on my local screen, including their docs and the box server docs right here. And I decided to try this myself for CFCasts. So if you come over here, I have CFCasts running. You can see the little secure connection here, and it was issued by my MakeCert root certificate authority with these certificates. Now, it's important to know that because you've installed MakeCert as a root certificate authority, that any of these certificates you make do give access to looking like they're legitimate. So you do not want to lose these certificates. You do not want to push them up to source control, anything like that. So the usual, warnings apply. With great power comes great responsibility. So, but that is MKCert or MakeCert. Works great with command box. I didn't have to do anything special. Just had to point it at those two files that it made. Again, make sure you just ignore those in source control, and you should be good to go.
Cool. That makes sense. All right. Well, we have basically come to the end of our podcast for the week. Very short, very concise week, much like February, a little bit abbreviated. So is our podcast. Thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. These individuals are personally supporting the open source initiatives to ensure the great toolings like CommandBox, ForgeBox, CodeBox, ContentBox, TestBox, BabbleBox, and all the other boxes that keep getting to the continuous development that they need. It funds the cloud infrastructure that our community relies on, like ForgeBox, our package management and CommandBox. You can also support us here on Patreon, patreon.com/OrtaSolutions. Don't forget, we have annual memberships. You can pay for the year and save 10%. which is great for budgeting and for businesses and that kind of stuff. Bronze packages and up, so we have different levels of thank yous. Bronze packages and up now get a ForgeBox Pro and a CFCast subscription as a perk. All Patreon supporters have a profile badge on the community website. All Patreon supporters have their own private forum access on the community website, and all Patreon supporters have their own private channel access to the Box team in Slack. Now, I just want to reiterate, because people have asked about that, we do pay attention to the entire the Box team Slack channel. This is just a matter of perhaps speed. If we, getting back to you, not that we're actually regulating fast or slow, it just is more of a thing, bringing things to our attention quicker, maybe. All that to be available at community.ortasolutions.com.
Now,
Eric,
I have to ask, did I hear you say BabbleBox? Or am I just
you did.
things?
I was kind of maybe injecting myself into the Box world right there. I kind of made a joke about needing some sleep, and I don't think I realized how badly until I got halfway through today's podcast.
Okay. I just wasn't sure if you had an announcement for us of a new polyglot box product you're making or something.
No, but that would be kind of a cool thing. Basically, okay, there you go. That's our challenge. Each week this weekend, we'll come up with the name of a module. They're going to figure out what would the module be that would fulfill that title. All right, I'll brainstorm.
Alrighty. Well, we want to end by thanking our top Patreon supporters, our top mirthful Patreon supporters. Thank you so much to John Wilson with Synaptrix, Tomorrow's Guides, Jordan Clark, Gary Knight, Mario Rodriguez, Giancarlo Gomez, David Bellinger, Dan Card, Jeffrey McGee with Sunstar Media, Dean Monder, Nolan Irk, and Abdul Raheen. Thank you to all of you, top Patreons, and to our many more Patreon supporters. You can see an up-to-date list at ortasolutions.com/about-us/sponsors. And thank you all for hanging out with us today, for listening to this podcast, and we'll catch you in March.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great week.
Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.